Hi, welcome back to Evan TV. My name is Evan. So I'm doing some instructional videos on whip cracking, and I wanted to do one about the flick, or what I call the flick, which is where you throw the whip out and it cracks. So no wind up or anything like that. Starts behind you, throw it out and it cracks. I got this great whip from a guy named Bill. On Cal Guns, he's known as Ultra LNW, and he's got a YouTube channel called Brand Jury, all one word. And so we're gonna do the flick. Now the flick looks a little bit like this. So you start with the whip behind you, back here, and what you're gonna do is when you throw it forward, you're gonna get your arm started, and at the last second, or a little bit right about here, you're gonna throw your wrist forward, okay? Okay, now you want to start off relatively slow. If you have a good whip, say one from Bill, it's not going to take much to get it to do that crack. Okay, now you notice that I'm not actually starting to throw my wrist until it gets right about here. Okay, then I finish it with that wrist. Okay. Now you also notice that the whip is actually continuing to travel around my left side as it goes out. So don't try to pull it back or anything like that. You want that whip to crack at full extension. Okay? So start it with you behind you. Okay, now I lean forward a little bit while I'm doing this crack. I feel like it helps with the forward motion on the whip. Okay, now this is the crack that I use for target work. If I want to wrap something or if I want to crack the whip on something, this is generally the one that I'll be using. Okay, now you notice that my whip actually stops moving right about here. That way I can get that full extension. Okay, now the other important thing I forgot to mention on this is that you want to throw the front of the whip. So as the whip curls out, you want to be throwing that natural curve. Okay? Now you want to start off relatively slow because the crack is pretty easy once you get the motion down. So just throwing it out there nice and soft. If it makes like a noise or like a tiny little pop sound, you're actually getting pretty close. Okay, and then once you get the motion down, you can actually put some power to it. Now the flick should be just about as loud as most other cracks. Maybe not as loud as the overhead crack, but it's going to be pretty loud. And it's relatively fast. Now you can do the flick from a couple of different positions. The sidearm is the one I use the most because I find it the easiest. And then you can go up from the bottom. And then you can also go at an angle. Now if you get really good, you can do overhand or over your head, like that. And that's still what I'm working on. Because I gotta be honest, all the cracking that I've done up to this point has been for moving cows. I haven't really gotten to the tricks yet. So start with the sidearm, because that's the one that you're really gonna want to use most often. Now if you get good at this, flicking it out there, you can start to roll your wrist. Now, what rolling the wrist does is it tightens up the loop that you're throwing, because as you torque the handle of the whip, it forces the whip to become tighter, that loop tighter. And the tighter it is, the faster it rolls out and the better the crack. So it's an efficiency thing. So as I throw it out, you're just going to roll your wrist a little bit. Now, because this whip from Bill has an elongated handle on it, I can actually rely more on the leverage of the handle than I need to, roll my wrist. So that's the flick. Remember, you start your arm, and then right about here, you're going to roll that wrist forward and get that flick motion. And it's not going to stop moving until it's over here. So probably about 11 or 10:30 o'clock on your body. Okay? So what's also nice about the flick, any flick, is that you can pair it with other cracks. So I can start an overhead crack with a flick. And you get two cracks relatively quickly. Or I can pair an up the center one with a cattleman's crack. So you get 2 cracks really fast, or relatively quickly. Uh-oh. Me and this new whip are still getting a little bit of acquainted. So that was my fault at the time. So that's the flick. This has been Evan TV. I'm Evan. Thanks for watching.